Welcome to the 301 Colored Commentators, a monthly podcast series where two black men from the state of Maryland debate and give their hot takes on movies, professional wrestling, and TV shows. So have a listen, have a look-see, but nonetheless, enjoy.
What's going on?
What's going on, people? We're back.
We're back.
Yep.
Episode 4.
Episode 4, 301 Colored Commentators. How you doing? Cy?
Anthony.
Yes, we are. And today we got a special episode for you guys.
Yeah.
First and foremost, let me just say, about 3 weeks ago, in the neighborhood that we grew up in, there was an explosion in the Friendly Garden apartment complex.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there were no casualties, but plenty of people were injured. Plenty of people were displaced from their homes with nothing except for the clothes on their backs. What's it called? If you want to donate, there's a link in the comments section for a wider circle. They've been one of the driving forces in helping people get back on their feet. So
Absolutely.
If you want to donate something, there's a link for us down below.
Anything is something, so it doesn't have to be $1 million. Oh, we'll take $1 million. Actually, they will. It'd be nice if you're that generous, but anything is something because there are a lot of kids involved in this as well that are displaced in the midst of school. So we definitely will, or they will definitely appreciate your donations or whatever you can do to help. Would be more than welcome.
Yes. Okay. So what's going on with you lately? What's
not much, man. I've been moving around, man. Like because I've been busy with work, I actually have been more into the R&B scene because I actually focus more when I'm actually listening to R&B versus like hip hop or music that is uplifting. Because then I really like get into the rhythm and like, but R&B makes me like think and tune in and zone into the work. So just
current or
a little bit of both. Current is a new artist. Her name is Kashma.
Mm-hmm.
She just dropped the album earlier this month called Purple Apartment.
Yeah.
It's a vibe. It's dope. A couple of good songs on there. I like specifically a track named 102. Also listen to Mariah the Scientist. I don't know if you ever heard of her.
I'm about to say Mariah Carey, but nah.
Nah, this is a different. She's from Atlanta. She was going to college at St. John's in New York studying biology, and I think Tory Lanez or somebody discovered her music talent, and so she dropped out and started to make some music. She's definitely a vibe. Got a couple of projects out. So she does, since she's into science and was studying biology, she does a lot of wordplay or even her current EP or whatever it's called, Buckles Laboratories presents The Intermission or something like that. So, but I've listened to more for older stuff being 2019, 2021, good stuff. If you like SZA, like Janae Aiko, she's right around that mellow, chill vibe, but dope writer as well. And obviously, I also been listening to some Afro beats. Keep it cultural. A new artist, well, not really a new artist, but an artist named Rema. He dropped the album actually just yesterday. So I was listening to it yesterday. It's pretty good. It's called Raves and Raves and Roses. Forgot the title because it just came out, but it's good. So I definitely recommend if you're into Afro beats, or if you don't know much about Afro beats, check it out. It's pretty good. It's got even a couple of American artists on there. Chris Brown's on there. Black, the one that has the 6.
Mm-hmm.
A few other artists on that joint. So, what about you, man?
Lately, the one record I've been listening to is Tana Talk 4 by Benny the Butcher. Yeah, that's.
I know that treasure.
Yeah, the production on there, it's Derringer and Alchemist. It's sample bass heavy, but it's that gritty street,
it's good.
East Coast style that I like. Good. Yeah, of course, Benny's just talking about drug talk mostly, but the way he tells it is like, damn, dude, you're skilled for a guy who's younger than me like that to be that skilled in the game. That's talent. Yeah. And he got signed to Def Jam too about a few months ago.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So Tana Talk 4, that's his last independent release.
I like the track in there with J. Cole.
Yeah, Johnny P's Caddy.
Yeah, Jay killed that joint.
Yeah.
It's a good album though. Definitely mess with it. It's good. Anything else?
In my car right now, I have a theme. In my 6-changer CD player, my theme for my hip hop music for this week is production. I got 3 of Ninth Wonder, 3 albums that he entirely produced versus 3 albums that No from Cunnilingus that he entirely produced.
Legendary producer, yeah.
Yeah, both of them are Southern producers, very sample based. Yeah, Ninth samples from old school soul records, No samples from obscure progressive rock records. But they're good at sampling, at finding the hip hop soul in all these obscure albums.
Okay. Definitely we'll try and give that a listen. Sounds good. I definitely haven't listened to that, so I'll definitely check that out. Yeah, anything else grab your attention outside of the Ukraine-Russia war going on right now? And our gas prices.
Our gas prices.
Yep.
Yeah, we're being gouged at the pump, but
Wow.
We'll adjust. We'll adjust. We always find a way to adjust after we finish complaining.
Yeah, I hope some form of peaceful resolution is met close.
In Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then other areas that are, even though they're not on the headlines, there's other areas that are, facing conflict. Obviously, Palestine, Israel. There's also conflict in Ethiopia. I know even in Asia, Taiwan. I think is it Taiwan? Well, one of them areas is having issues with China, so it's just not really in the headlines. So there's definitely a lot of other areas that aren't even really hitting the news that I pray for.
Hell, we got issues with China too. They own us pretty much.
Yeah,
we're in debt to them.
More or less. Yeah, we are indebted to them.
Mm-hmm.
So mad debt. But yeah, I don't want to go in too deep into politics, but yeah, you can't avoid it sometimes, especially in these days. So
it's like Ralph Nader once said: if you don't turn into politics will turn on you.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, as you know, we have 3 major topics that we always discuss in every episode.
Movies, wrestling, and TV shows.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
and today we're going to talk about a very misunderstood movie. Yeah, I got family members that won't watch it because they think it's an overt horror, and others that won't watch it again because they just didn't get it. Well, they're about to when we break it down for them.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? The 2019 movie Us, written and directed by Jordan Peele. Yeah, the writer and director for Get Out from a year prior to that, for which he won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for.
Yeah, that's right. That is right.
And let me just shout out Jordan Peele because he's one of the few black directors in Hollywood that's doing his thing. Him, Ryan Coogler.
Ryan as well.
I'm pretty much convinced they can write their own ticket now.
Yeah.
Even in a white dominated area like Hollywood. But in Peele, he's got a new movie coming out called
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. He always has something in his films.
Yeah. So it makes you think.
Yeah. And the fact that he employs black characters mostly, like he was an executive producer on Lovecraft Country, right?
Yeah, he was.
And he made sure that there were black characters in that medium because there are never any black characters in Lovecraftian horror stories.
I'm kind of mad they discontinued that.
Me too. They could have gone on another season. Yeah,
they could have.
It irks me. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Like not all white people's magic, all the magic in the world. Thank you.
100, yeah.
Yeah. With Us though, if you haven't seen it, it stars Lupita Nyong'o, who was in Black Panther, and Winston Duke. They were both in Black Panther.
Shout out to Lupita. She went to college with one of my really good friends in Ghana's younger sister, who also directs and does screenplay. So yeah, they're dope. They're tight. They actually vacation together sometimes and stuff. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lupita should have got an Oscar for this because she's playing 2 different roles and playing them very well. The story is about Lupita plays Adelaide Wilson, and Winston Duke plays her husband Gabe, and they got 2 children. Mm-hmm. When they're on a family vacation and they're suddenly attacked by a group of menacing clones of themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And what we learn is there are clones of people all throughout America, and they live underground, and they mindlessly mimic the actions of their template who lives above surface. And the thing is, they don't ever communicate their suffering until now.
Right.
Yeah. Jordan Peele said one of the driving force factors in writing this movie was the real life 1986 American campaign, Hands Across America.
Yeah.
which kind of predated social media if you think about it, because the entire point of Hands Across America, for those who don't know, was to end hunger and to form a massive human chain, people holding hands throughout the continental United States.
Yeah.
That was impossible even on paper, because they didn't take into account population, climate, elevation.
Exactly, land. But it's hard to say topography. Yeah.
And when the event happened on Sunday, May 25th, 1986, it was a massive failure, because there were gaps in the chain, and people didn't even pay they had to pay $10 to get inside the chain, right? Some of them didn't even pay, and there were bus drivers who were seeing this and stopped their bus, and made people get out of the bus to complete the chain, and it fell short of their $50 million goal. It only raised $15 million, and even Ronald Reagan, he participated in the chain and was rightly criticized for it, considering what he said about what he said about the hunger, about poor people in hunger, like days prior. He said, "I don't believe that there is anyone that is going hungry in America simply by reason of denial or lack of ability to feed themselves." I'm like, people, you said people don't know where to go to look for food. I'm like, and I think I think that's what Jordan Peele was really homing in on, the class division, which was really a heavy factor in Reagan's America. Yeah. We both saw it in the theaters. What did you think?
I think the movie illustrates or outlines two things that are kind of intertwined. One of them is, the class system, or socioeconomic, societal classes. And I think it also sheds light to people having two sides to them, a good and an evil. And based on the environment they're in, one aspect or one side can be the dominant side, depending on like what your tipping point is. And I think that the movie illustrates that to a T. I think Jordan Peele kind of outlines the fact that there's an element of like equality that is kind of subtle, in the sense that the fact that me and you are in the middle class doesn't make us any different from someone that's in the poor class. And I think that's really illustrated when, even in the beginning, when Lupita goes to that little place by the beach. I forget
the fun house.
The fun house. There you go. And she exchanges places with her clone, or the dark side of her. Mm-hmm. And the dark side of her becomes the dominant character, more or less. And in that aspect, she's still able to, regardless of her, I guess the dark side represents. Yeah. Dark side represents the poor, underprivileged, person in the struggle.
Yeah.
Well, as she switches places, the person that is in the rich side of the middle class now goes to the dark side, and she goes to the middle class. And in there, she's still able to thrive. She grows. She becomes a flourishing woman that has kids.
But she is damaged.
She's damaged for sure, because obviously she's experienced. She knows how it is to be,
experience horrors. Like since her dark side is now the more dominant of the two above surface, she mindlessly mimicked her clone's actions, even to the point of how she had to give birth to her children. Exactly. Yeah, she said, when she was speaking in the third person with that raspy voice, she mentioned they had to cut her open.
Yeah.
And my child was born laughing.
Right. Exactly. And like, even to add on to that, like, I don't know if you've noticed, like, even in the movie when they go back to the beach on vacation and her son goes missing.
Yeah.
She gets extra scared, because she has, just like any parent that comes, for example, like a parent that comes from the hood and has made it out of the hood, would never want their child to visit or have those tough experiences in the hood. So like, she has that innate moment where like, oh, my son is potentially, gone to the funhouse, or like he's gone missing. Like, she has flashbacks, and I think that's natural for humans do that. When you come from hardship, you and you have children, you never want them to experience that same hardship. So you do your best to move them as far away from that as possible. And I think you get little aspects of that in that scene, especially.
And I think the tethered, and when the tethered represent Americans, I think. Even the title of the movie, Us, that could stand for the United States.
Yeah.
Because even in the film, when Gabe asks Red, Lupita Nyong'o's clone, he asks, "Who are you people?" And she replies, "We're Americans," as in they're the forgotten, the downtrodden, the lower class, the underground who were forgotten about during Reagan's America, like during things like Reaganomics, where the wealthy hoarded more wealth for themselves. The Hands Across America, which didn't do anything for hungry people except give the image of looking like you're helping them.
Yeah, exactly.
Welfare Queen, AIDS victims.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're all the tethered are allegories for all of them, and which is why the movie takes place in '86 as well. Like I said, Reagan's America, and there are plenty of allusions to '80s references in the plot as well too. Like in the beginning of the film, after it makes mentions about the millions of miles, the thousands of miles of underground subway tunnels in America that have no publicly known purpose. They show a commercial for Hands Across America, but on the TV, if you look closely, they also show like VHS copies of movies like Chud and The Goonies, both of which take place underground, like this film, like The Tethered.
That's true.
And to go back to your comment about people's dark sides, Thriller is used a lot for the film.
The T-shirt.
The T-shirt, like when Adelaide's dad wins her a Thriller T-shirt during the opening at the Santa Cruz Carnival. And plus Michael Jackson's red jumpsuit and single glove helped inspire the Tethered's look. And the Thriller, and if you recall, the Thriller music video, it ended with the reveal that Michael Jackson was a monster all along. Much like how Us ends.
I think another thing that I noticed about the Tethered was their jumpsuits was very reminiscent of jail jumpsuits, and it could
prison.
Prison, exactly. And it just showed. I think they're illustrating that the less fortunate in the Tethered are criminalized a lot of times, sometimes unfairly, and like it's uniform throughout the whole movie. They all have that jumpsuit that definitely looks very prison oriented, which I thought was very interesting.
And they got bunk beds too, just like prison.
Like prison, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
They live in what they think. Not even what they think is a prison, but as we later saw in the film, there's an escalator right there, but they just don't know it.
Exactly.
They could get out, they just don't realize.
Exactly.
And what else? And each tethered member, they have a scarred right hand too, and it's covered by that fingerless glove.
That's true. That is true. Oh, what did you think about the gentleman with the biblical scripture, Jeremiah 11:11?
That. Two things. One, it not only speaks to God saying that you guys shouldn't have no idols before me. Don't do that. And even if you realize you're wrong, don't come crying to me because I won't help you.
Right.
But it also, Jeremiah 11:11, the numbers are parallel. 11:11, like a palindrome. Tethered, they're the same thing, both sides.
Both sides, yeah.
And also, it speaks to having idols. The white family in the film, the Tylers, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the dichotomy between them and the Wilsons, the black family, Adelaide's family, the black family, they're solid middle class, but happy. The Tylers, they're rich, unhappy, and constantly trying to one up people.
Each other, and each other too, yeah.
And furthermore, what leads me to think that they have idols and why their God won't save them, when the wife, when she gets killed by her tethered copy, she says, Ophelia, which is their version of Alexa.
Alexa, yeah.
Call the police.
Fuck the police. That was funny.
That was funny. That was played for laughs. But it showed that this is your God. Your AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so God, the real God, he ain't coming to save you.
Right. Exactly. That was a good take there. Yeah.
And also, it seems that this whole thing was only confined to America because they explained that the American government created clones of its citizens to try to control them. And when they realized they could only clone the bodies and not the souls, with Adelaide being the exception.
Exactly.
They just abandoned the tethered underground, right? But
exactly.
It looks like it's just America because it doesn't look like it's a worldwide thing. The rest of the world didn't have clones.
Yeah. And another thing is, I thought was very interesting was at the beginning of the movie where Adelaide switches sides. Like the original Adelaide goes to the underground, and the other one goes up. The one on the underground, after tasting how it feels to be in those dark, demented, underprivileged, environment, she does everything in her power to get out of there. So she even rallies. She actually orchestrates the whole tethered escape and revenge against the middle class or the people that are up top.
And to turn Hands Across America on its head because that was one of her last memories on the surface before being snatched to live in the bottom.
Exactly. And I honestly believe if people in real life, if people were to switch roles, people that are privileged and people that live in the middle class or higher classes were to switch collectively to poor environments and poor circumstances, I guarantee you there will be a revolt the same exact way.
Chris Rock once says, there ain't a single white person in here that would trade places with me.
Exactly.
None of you would trade places with me, and I'm rich.
Exactly. It's one thing to know. It's one thing to know about it. It's one thing to feel. Once you feel it, it's very different. Very different. And I think that's what the movie actually illustrates in that whole aspect.
And the music too. I mean, one more thing. They made reference to one of my favorite movies, The Lost Boys, during the beginning of the film.
Even Santa's in the Cruise.
Yeah, they were I think there's a movie being filmed over there. It's like
Santa Carla, similar. Yeah. Shout out to The Lost Boys. It was a classic.
Yeah. And the music in the film is very dissonant. What's it called? Detached.
Yeah.
Like the dark string version of Luna's is I got five on it.
Yep.
That's a weed song, actually. We heard that when we were 7th graders. We didn't know that back then.
Yeah.
We just thought the melody was dope.
Yeah, it was dope. Yeah, it was a great song.
And the tethered Tyler family, when they're killing their templates, the Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys is playing.
Oh yeah. That was funny.
And of course, the aforementioned "Fuck the Police" by NWA.
NWA was there. Yes.
And for some reason, Le Fleur by Minnie Riperton plays in the end when it shows the tethered have succeeded and the ending credits. I'm like, that's a hippie song right there. But looking at the lyrics, it's like one of the lyrics in there goes, "Ring all the bells, sing and tell the people everywhere that the flower has come." The tethered have come. Because you see them all throughout the mountains holding hands. Succeeding what 1986 America failed to do. Yeah. And the helicopters in the background and smoke in the background too. It's like, okay, the tethered, they turned Hands Across America into a bloody uprising. Yeah. And it worked. It got them attention that they needed.
Yeah. And I think the fear from the people above kind of is reflective of society in general. Like, people love status quo. People are always quick to say, oh yeah, we should feed the poor, we should help the what you call it, this disadvantaged or whatever. But in reality, everybody wants to keep the status quo.
Very few people actually want to change it.
Very people want to change it because when that change starts to happen, people want to put their foot down.
And with Hands Across America, it was like many people, they just wanted to get their picture on TV or get a picture with a cool celebrity. That's why I say it's a precursor to social media with what you see now. Like people that go to Black Lives Matters protests, they're just there so they can just say, I was here.
Optics and aesthetics.
Yeah, you don't give a fuck about Black Lives Matter.
That whole thing was no comment. That's another discussion. But nothing has changed since that whole movement. It was a beautiful thing that everybody came out, to protest and everything. But at the end of the day, it just proved that it ended up. I won't say it proved. It just ended up being aesthetics and optics because the actual change that the protests were actually geared towards haven't been done. Mm-hmm. And that's another discussion. I don't want to get into that rabbit hole right now, but yeah, man, it's a great movie.
That's a good movie.
Check it out. If you haven't seen it, I mean, there's some frightening aspects here and there, but it's not as. I don't really consider it a horror movie. I think it's a thinker. It's one of those.
Yeah, it's like Get Out before it. It's a social satire disguised as a slasher flick.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's a little bit darker than Get Out, though. But it is. It's not I still don't consider it like a scary.
It's not a horror. It's not a horror to me. I didn't.
Yeah.
There's might be a jump scene, but it's like nothing that made me close my eyes.
Exactly.
And like a lot of the reasons why I think us didn't fail, but it didn't get the same attention that Get Out got. And Get Out focused more on race.
Yeah.
This was more about class divisions.
Yeah, exactly. But I think ultimately it definitely illustrates the good and the bad side of an individual. Like, it could go either way. And it's almost always determined by your environment.
Right.
So, like, a lot of us are quick to say, oh, this person is evil, this person is... If you lived in their world, you'd probably be the same.
Yeah, it's nurture, nature.
Exactly.
Sometimes
so,
both.
We all have it in us.
Yeah.
It's just we are able to suppress it based on how we were raised, our day-to-day circumstances, our day-to-day beliefs.
And some are better at it than others.
But there is a tipping point, and God forbid we all, get to that tipping point where we flip to be where our dominant side is evil versus good. And I think Jordan Peele illustrates that very well in the movie. So
he does, yes, he does.
Yeah. So, man.
Shall we?
Let's do it, dog.
Oh, here's what I wanted to talk about. One thing before we move on to pro wrestling.
What's up?
This is the 25th anniversary of Life After Death.
That's my guy, yo.
Biggie Smalls.
That's my guy, yo. Rest in peace.
Yeah, well,
I actually bought that when it came out. The day it came out.
Me too. Well, not the day it came out, but I bought it when we were 8th graders.
The day it came out.
The first hip hop album to go diamond, 10 million copies.
Man, I haven't seen this in a minute. Have you seen that, Junie?
Yeah.
I remember Junie.
Calvin, yeah.
Yeah, he borrowed mine like a week later.
Yeah, he kept hounding you for it on the bus.
You remember, right? Yeah. Man, this is the GOAT, man.
Yeah, Biggie Smalls, right here. This is jump right here. Okay. Right now, we're going to talk about our top 3 favorite wrestling matches. But first, R.I.P. to Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon.
Yep.
Yeah. Outsiders, NWO for life.
For life, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, we had the privilege of meeting him 2 years ago. Well, 3 years ago. 3 years ago with our friend Cito.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Hall, he was cool as hell.
Yeah.
Just like how you see him on TV, it's like, yo.
He was very humble too, man. Like, I remember I was taking a picture of you, was I taking a picture of Cito with somebody?
You were trying to get your camera in focus, right?
Yeah. And he goes, hey, I got something you can focus on. I was like, hey, go ahead.
I'm like, focus the camera on this here. Focus on the crotch.
Yeah. So, like, we talked to him, we rapped a little bit. Very humble. I was actually shocked how nice of a person he was.
And yeah, he looks the character of Razor Ramon still with the slick back hair and the toothpick in his mouth, but yeah, he was mad cool.
Right. And like over there, they were actually charging for pictures. He didn't even charge us. He was just like, let's take a picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He was cool, man.
Mm-hmm. Him and Sean Waltman, they didn't even charge for pictures.
6-pack. 1, 2, 3 kid. However you remember him as. But yeah, that was a great experience. Rest in peace to the man.
Oh yeah.
Definitely a wrestling legend. Funny guy.
He gave us memories,
Yeah, man. We actually once upon a time thought he was actually like Cuban.
Yeah, all my Latino friends in elementary school, they were telling me flat outside, he's not Hispanic, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I should have known better. I should have known because y'all would know better than me because y'all was spot that.
Yeah. Shout out to Tony Montana. That's the inspiration.
You watched it go, Chico.
Yo, one of his greatest pictures of all time was the one he took in the hood. You see the picture?
Yeah, I see the one of them black kids.
Yeah. That joint is hilarious.
Yo.
Funny.
Yeah, that was funny. It was funny. What's it called?
Yeah, man. Definitely rest in peace to the legend.
Mm-hmm. His ladder matches over the legendary.
Oh, yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Shawn Michaels, right?
Yeah, both of them, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely great.
All right, our top 3 favorite wrestling matches. You start with yours first.
Well, what we'll do? We'll do one each.
Yeah, one each. Yeah,
so,
one each.
Like, I guess my first one.
That's what she said.
Wow, funny guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my first one, I'd say, I guess I'll go in chronological order.
Okay.
Was the 10-man tag team match from the 1988 Survivor Series.
November 24th, 1988.
Yeah, man. Great match. Featured on one side the Powers of Pain, the Warlord and the Barbarian,
Mm-hmm.
the Heart Foundation, Brett, and Jim. The
Rockers.
Rockers. We had Shawn Michaels, Monty Jannetty. The Young Stallions, Paul Roma and Jimmy Powers. Who am I missing?
The Bulldogs.
Davey Boy and Dynamite.
R.I.P. to both.
Yeah, and then on the other side we had Axe and Smash, Demolition, Brainbusters, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had the Rougeos, Jacques and Raymond. I'm trying to see who else. I remember.
The
Bolsheviks.
Yeah.
The Conquistadors. I don't know who was.
I don't know who was in the
Conquistador 1,
costume.
Conquistador 2.
Probably Guerreros.
Yeah, I know, right? The Luchadors.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know who they were for real.
Yeah.
Then we had the Bolsheviks.
Because Hector Guerrero was a gobbledygooker.
Oh, he was, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Yeah. So, then there was the Bolsheviks, Nikolai, and what's the Boris?
Yeah, Boris Zukov.
Is that the whole team?
That's everybody.
Yeah. So, but yeah, great match, display of just classic execution of wrestling. Like, just great. On paper, the Powers of Pain team was just much better, but the Demolition actually won the match.
Yeah, and they had a face.
Actually, no, Powers of Pain did win the match.
Yeah, they did.
But they switched. It was just a great display of action, and then at the time it was there was a turn of events that occurred where Demolition go, because they're managed by Mr. Fuji. He turns against them like near the end of the match, which causes them to be eliminated. And somehow, some way, I was kind of blown about this because I was actually a fan of the Powers of Pain, but they go and help Fuji. And that was pretty much the end of their tag because they became garbage after that.
Yeah, they were trying to make them. They were trying to keep them as faces with Mr. Fuji, but it was unexpected face turn for Demolition.
Yeah. So they didn't know how the fans were going to react. Basically,
yeah, the fans loved.
Yeah, the fans ended up just switching towards the Demolition. Yeah. Right there and there.
Even though, realistically, the Powers of Pain should have beat Demolition at one point. They should have.
It was prior to leading to that match. They were so dominant, and then turn of events happened, and then they just kind of went down the hill. But man, there were some standouts in there. Of course, like some of the names, like Shawn Michaels was great, Marty Jannetty was great, Dynamite was amazing throughout the whole match. The Barbarian, like I definitely watching it now, I definitely had a newfound respect for him. But he was just crazy, like big dude, 300-pounder, just like flying all over the ring, throwing people around the ring. Demolition was traditional, just hammering. It was just a great match. Like they were feuds.
Yeah.
Like you remember the Rockers and then the Brainbusters got disqualified going at it.
Mm-hmm. And they had the what's it called, the Bulldogs and the Rougeos. They had some beef, so they had to
exactly
in their shit early.
Exactly. So, but that match stole the whole pay-per-view. Actually, I think it was the best match in that pay-per-view. And I just, even till today, I still enjoy watching it sometimes. Like, this was a classic match. It just reminds me of when I was like 6, 7. I used to watch that continuously. I used to watch that a lot. So it's definitely, just because of that, it's definitely one of my favorites of all time. So that's definitely my first one.
Scroll a little bit.
Oh, good. So what about you, man?
Okay, in chronological order. Okay, my first favorite match is a 6-man tag match. Not even a tag match, but a 6-man cage match. Yeah, 3-on-3. March 5th, 1988. It wasn't on Saturday night's main event or on Superstars, but it wasn't. It was MSG. It wasn't a house show neither. It was recorded for one of those old best of Coliseum home video compilations. It was the Macho Man Randy Savage, along with the WWF Tag Team Champion Strikeforce, Tito Santana and Rick Martel, led down to the ring by Miss Elizabeth, and against the Honky Tonk Man and the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. As soon as the Macho Man and Strikeforce get in the ring, the heels, they immediately go at them. They just start beating them, axe handles, and they rip off Strikeforce's shirt, starts choking them with it. And Bret Hart, I just remember Bret Hart and Rick Martel, both Canadians, they're just going at it. And Bret Hart, he was playing it super cool, like I'm a cool heel, but then Rick Martel just takes his t-shirt, runs up behind Bret Hart, choking him, banging his head like that. And Bret Hart was really selling getting choked. But
that match was more funny to me than anything.
Yeah, it was a fun match for me. It was just fun to watch.
It was funny. I just found it funny. Yeah.
And
It was a cool match, though.
And also, what's it called? The Colored Commentators, both deceased now, Gorilla Monsoon and Lord Alfred Hayes. Yeah, and you can hear Jimmy Hart yelling at them through the microphone. Yeah, from England.
Yeah.
And the last two men standing in the match were, what's it called? Savage and Honky Tonk. Yeah. And Savage, he's like the method actor of pro wrestling. I swear to God.
The GOAT, man.
The detail he puts in there, making the match look good, making himself and his opponent look good. Yeah, because Honky was getting getting on him in the beginning of it, beating him. But then Savage comes back, goes crazy with that macho madness, and Honky's like, no, on his knees begging. And then on their way out of the cage, Savage just goes like, boom!
The elbow,
and then
he hits his crotch on the ropes.
Hits his crotch on the ropes, yeah.
I remember that.
The way they sold every wrestler in there, the way they sold the submission moves, the finishing maneuvers, and getting out of the cage, just made it a fun match for me.
That joke was hilarious, man. Funny match.
And Savage, he just looks like such royalty. The way he comes to the ring, he wasn't champion no more. He wasn't. He wasn't IC champion.
Honky Tonk had the title at the time. He wanted it.
Yeah, he had it at the time. Yeah, but he would come down with them shades, that robe, and just come down with that pomp and circumstance music, and high five his boys and strike force.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you were really selling this.
It's my guy, man.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah, good match. More, like I said, more so funny to me than like what's that? I'm next, right? So
yeah, you're next. Yeah.
My next favorite of all time was the career-ending match from WrestleMania 7, Ultimate Warrior versus the Macho King Randy Savage. You know I can't go without putting the GOAT in the joint, man. You know everybody knows I love Macho Man. That's my guy.
Mine too.
Yeah. That match was amazing. It was amazing from start to finish. Like at the beginning, Savage comes down.
Oh yeah.
He's there, being carried as a king with sensational Queen Sherry. And then they pan over. Elizabeth is in the stands. She's in the fans as well. Looking nervous as hell.
And they fake like what's it called? Like Bobby Heenan was able to spot her from where he was.
Yeah. It's like, I several thousand. Obviously, it was scripted.
That looks like Elizabeth.
It is. Come on, dog.
This is sickening. She come to see him lose.
Oh yeah! Shout out to Macaulay Culkin. He was out there in the audience too. Yeah.
Mad people were out there.
Yeah, because it was in LA, so the
LA Coliseum. Yeah.
But yeah. First of all, the lead up to that match was great. The promos, Macho Man has great promos. He's calling the Warrior a wimp. Interfering in the Warrior's matches, costing him the WWF title. Obviously, the Warrior will respond with absolute nothings in his promos. Just say a lot of weird shit that don't make no sense, but we loved it anyway because it was the Warrior. Because everybody loved the Warrior. But yeah, so they finally get to it. It's a career-ending match. The loser, first ever, I think, right?
The first ever career-ending match that I've seen. Yeah, and if it wasn't, it was the first one involving big stars.
Yeah, so the loser is out of wrestling forever. So
maybe not forever.
Yeah, but at the time they sold it that way. They sold it that way. So, but yeah, so in the beginning, Macho Man comes because it was a career-ending match. There was a lot of nerves in we fans were just kind of like, whoa, who's this done for after this? Because these were great. These were like top pinnacle superstars at the time, big name sellers. So it'll be crazy to see one of them out of the competition forever.
And mind you, he was a Macho King, Randy Savage, at the time too.
He was the king at the time. And so it was hard for us fans to see wrestling without either one of them because they were so big at the time. So they come. It's nervy, antsy. Macho Man comes. The Warrior comes out. The Warrior doesn't even run. That's how serious they made this. Warrior always runs to the ring. He's actually walking.
And people grabbing him. He's like,
get off. He's like, get off. He's like, he's focused. See the Warrior walking down, not running. You're like, damn, this is for real.
And he's got a trench coat on too.
Exactly. He's wearing a trench coat that has him, Savage, the belt,
yeah.
Just a lot of
very dramatic.
Yeah, it's very dramatic.
Even his tights, the back of his tights had the WWF belt says means more than this.
Yeah. So it's their nuts were on the line basically.
Mm-hmm.
They come down, man. They go. That match goes at it.
How many times he elbow smashed Warrior?
Don't even bring that up. That blew me, dog. How did he get out? He got out of 5 elbow drops, dog. The average wrestler doesn't get out of 1.
Mm-hmm.
Macho Man has won titles over one of those. He gives 5 consecutive elbow drops and the Warrior gets out of that. I was insulted.
No, I wasn't sold on that.
Very insulted. Because, I have a special place for the Macho Man. So that just blew me. Long story short, the Warrior wins the match. Great match.
With the 1 foot pin.
1 foot. Even more insulted, dog. Can't believe that shit, man. Had him, foot on him, hands up. I was like, come on, dog. How insult? This is the king. So he beats him. Sensational Sherry is blown because now she has no one to manage. Macho Man loses, so his career's over. She goes in there, starts beating him up.
She takes off part of her dress.
Yeah.
And even Bobby Heenan's like, come on, Sherry, he did his best. He wants it longer than anybody I would have known.
Right. And then all of a sudden, she kicks him one more time. Elizabeth hops out of the stands.
And Pam's like, go! And she's less attractive here because she cut her hair.
Yeah, she cut her hair.
But she grabbed Sherry by the hair.
No yams. She's cute though. Yeah. She's cute. But yeah, she comes in there, grabs Sherry by the hair, throws her out the ring. Obviously, Savage gains consciousness. He gets up to his feet and he's like, what the hell are you doing here? It's like, well, you the one that was kicking me? He's like, no, I saved you. All mush stuff.
Yeah, it was that still has emotional weight today, dude. That still is a great thing to watch. Even the color commentators, they were like, she loves him. She loved him from the beginning. This is sickening.
I second that.
Bobby. No, I still like watching that. Even
it was great. It was great cinematography, great drama.
Yeah.
Add to it. It was good.
They made it feel real, even though the people in the audience that they focus on, those motherfuckers that they paid.
Yeah, they were crying and shit.
Yeah.
It's like, they definitely, it was definitely a climactic end.
Yeah.
Climactic end. So they have the traditional Macho Man putting her on his shoulder like old times.
I love that.
To, cap it off his career, and that was it. After that, you can turn off WrestleMania 7. That was it. That was the main event. Even though that was not the main event, it sold the show, which is why I had to pick it, dog. It was a great match. Warrior usually, first of all, the Warrior's not a very good wrestler.
And they think, yeah.
He's very brutish. I love that about his matches, though. I ain't gonna lie. He's not a very good technical wrestler, but the fact that he's just so brutish, just throws people over. But the Macho Man, to his expertise, helped sell this match to a T.
That's why they paired them. Yeah, because they thought he'd be better. They thought he'd be in better hands with Randy Savage because of his attention to detail.
Exactly, and that is one of the greatest matches of all time, which is why you can't even find it to stream. It was the Warrior,
barely,
because they copyright that joint so hard because they know it is WrestleMania 7. After you watch WrestleMania 7, when you get to that match and it ends, cut it off.
You can't even find the whole match on YouTube or even Daily Motion.
Nah, because it's copyrighted heavy because they know it's a great match. That is definitely one of my favorites.
That sounds great. If y'all like this kind of mush, maybe your shoes are on too tight.
Rest in peace, Bobby Heenan.
Everybody in that match except for the referee, all of them rest in peace.
Yeah, they're all dead actually.
Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon, Miss Elizabeth, Sherry, Warrior, Savage, all of them.
Like, another thing that's very telling about how great or grueling that match was, by the time the match was over, all the Warriors' paint, you saw his bare face.
Yeah.
I rarely ever saw that. All his paint had sweated off. And that just tells you it was like a battle. And definitely one of my favorites of all time, man. Rest in peace to the Ghost Savage.
Oh yeah. R.I.P.
Yes, sir.
The next match for me is actually another Ultimate Warrior match. It was the match of the previous year's WrestleMania, the main event there. Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior.
I hated that match, though.
April Fool's Day of 1990, Toronto, Canada, the Sky Dome.
Garbage.
Champion against champion, title for title.
The lead-up was better than the match, dog.
The match,
in my opinion,
I still hold it dear because that was the first time Hulk Hogan got beat fair and square and lost the belt at a WrestleMania.
Facts, though.
Yeah.
Facts.
But in retrospect, looking at it from a storyline perspective, I will admit this. What the hell was Hogan going to do if he actually won with the IC belt? Was he going to drop the WWF belt and become IC champion?
He was not. It didn't suit him.
It didn't suit him, and he would not have gone for that. Yeah. The build-up for the match was good, and it had never been seen before. Both belts on the line, both faces, the biggest stars in the company, at the biggest event in the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lead-in was good. The Warrior ran to the ring, and he had a Warrior symbol painted on his chest. And he had his colorful, whenever he had any title, the Intercontinental belt or the WWF belt, it would always be framed with like a different color, white, yellow, or blue.
Yep.
This time the IC belt was yellow. And Hogan came out of the ring with his usual All-American fanfare and whatnot. But during the match, it lasted over 30 minutes. Hogan tried his usual, gets indestructible, no. And the Warrior's like, what? Boom, boom. None of his shit was working. And then when Hogan hits him with the foot to the face, and he's about to drop the leg drop, he's like, this is not going to end with you getting good. Warrior moves out the way, but then just drops on him. The ref just slides down there. 1, 2, 3, and like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. No more Hogan as champion. He got beat fair and square by a face.
That was the only good part about the match. The fact that Hogan lost the title.
And him bowing out.
And to show you how garbage that fight was, look how quickly he wrapped it up. See how quickly he wrapped that match up? Shit was garbage, dog. I'm telling you. One of the most underwhelming matches I've ever seen. It was not as bad as the following year's main event, but it was bad considering the pinnacle of those two athletes or two wrestlers.
I was just happy to see Hogan just lose. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I definitely can agree with that. But all in all, it was terrible.
And the celebration in the ring and Hogan looking like a... In Hogan's mind, in real life, he was probably a sore loser by having to give the title up like that. Yeah.
Of course. I do like sorry to interrupt, but I do like the fireworks and the confetti they have for the Warriors.
Me too.
It was a cool way to kind of illustrate the changing of the guard.
Yeah, they were supposed to be a changing of the guard, like the new
generation.
Passing of the torch, yeah.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be that, but what happened next year, they give the belt right back to Hogan.
And I think one thing to outline about that match is we already knew the Warrior was a terrible wrestler. I think that match also outlines how bad a wrestler Hogan was too. The only reason why Hogan was able to one-up was the fact that he was just a huge physique.
Yeah.
And a lot of his main events involved like colossal wrestlers that he overcame, which kind of helped sell him over. But when it actually came to him actually having technical fights with people that were more or less around his size, it was just terrible.
It was just evenly matched almost.
Yeah. But then it illustrated how deficient he was or inept as a wrestler he was.
Even in later years, like when he fought Sting, Sting's a better wrestler by far.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like just go down his chronology. WrestleMania 1 when he fights
Piper and
the tag team with him and
Mr. T.
That was a garbage match, not memorable. Second one, he fought King Kong Bundy. He was a colossal guy, so it helped. Third one, Andre.
He slammed him, but that wasn't even the best match.
Right. It was a good match because of the fact that, the hype, the fans made it great, and the fact that, again, he was a warrior. I said warrior. The Giant was a colossal figure, so it was like he's overpowering the Giant, so that helped. The following year, he wasn't the main event, which was great. Then the year after that, he fights Savage. Savage sells the match.
Pretty much, yeah. He's a better wrestler by far, and the build-up.
It was terrible, man. So, like, the following year when he fights the Warrior, it was just as equally as terrible. Maybe slightly worse. It gave off a terrible match, which is why he wrapped it up in 2 minutes.
Hogan lost. That's why I hold it dear to my heart. Yeah, Hogan lost fair and square, and we didn't get to see that All-American posing in the ring for an hour, waving an American flag. Yeah. It's like just shoot me now.
Thank God. Yeah, that's the only thing I agree with him about that match. Otherwise, nah. Yeah. So yeah, my last one, right?
Yeah, your last one, yes.
The greatest Royal Rumble of all time. One of my favorite heels of all time. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair. There you go. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair, came in as an underdog. He told the world at the end of this match. First of all, that Royal Rumble, the prize was the World Wrestling Federation title.
It was vacated because of Hogan.
Vacated. Here you go, the Nature Boy. Nothing special other than the fact that he has swagger beyond the roof. Most hated wrestler in the organization. Everybody was gunning for him. He had the odds coming in at number 3. 30 men every 2 minutes. He came on number 3. Everybody was coming for his throat. And before the match, he told y'all, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to be the last man standing. and I'm gonna have that title hoisted up.
He got lucky.
Call it what you want.
Sid Justice, and not Sid Justice.
Call it what you want. He had Piper coming for him. He had the Bulldog coming for him. He had Hogan coming for him. He had Sid Justice. He even had the Undertaker at one point. Everybody came for him. Came in at number 3, dog, and outlasted everyone.
He's a dirty player. He's like Indal Kung Su.
No. He's an intelligent player. He's an intelligent player. Hitting the weeds when he saw his opportunity.
Yeah, hitting the weeds, pussy.
Who won the title, dog?
Only because Sid Justice was yelling Hogan, and he took advantage of that shit.
Who was crying at the end of the match?
Sid Justice.
And who?
Hogan.
Alright. Who was smiling at the end of the match?
3 people.
Yes.
3 blondes.
3 goats.
And one fourth guy. No, never mind. He wasn't in there yet. Never mind. He wasn't in there yet.
And to top it off, the promo at the end. Or should I say, it wasn't even a promo because it was just the rapper, just the icing on the cake. He came out and told you, I told you so, dog. Came from number 3, outlasted, you name them. They were all in there, dog. Savage was in there. Undertaker was in there. Sid Justice was in there. Hogan was in there.
Speaking of which, the funniest part of that Royal Rumble was the Savage Jake the Snake.
He
eliminated Jake the Snake, right? But then Savage goes to the second rope to beat on him some more on the canvas, right?
Yeah, dog.
He's beating on him, but then Undertaker gets out of the ring and puts Savage back in, as if to say, first of all,
you can't
eliminate yourself, and secondly, you didn't even properly eliminate yourself. Get your ass back in there.
Right, and he jumps right back over to go back. That was funny. But yeah, 30 men. You could name them. 30 of your favorites. They were all in that joint. All of them. Well, except the Warrior. He was out of the business by then. But everybody else was in there. And Flair came from the weeds. Number 3 came at the beginning of the match. Before the match, he said, yo, I'm the Nature Boy. I'm going to win the title today, dog.
He's the ultimate troll. Knows how to get inside people's heads.
And I love it.
Like with Savage at the next pay-per-view event.
I love it. The flyest heel of all time came, predicted that he was going to win the title, outlasted all of them. Took a beating, by the way. They beat his ass.
Yeah, he was bloody at the end.
They beat his ass. His hair was all flaky because he sweated it out.
It was as bloody as his tights were.
It is. If you want to watch the Royal Rumble, there's a lot of them. Watch that one because it's the GOAT of GOATs.
Anyone where Hogan didn't win, that's GOAT.
Yes, he had them all crying at the end. Piper hated him. Hogan hated him. They all hated him.
And Piper was IC champion, so what he crying about at the time?
I don't even care. Because my man came in there without the title and left with the title.
Well, technically, he came in the WWE with the title.
Came with the WCW title. He even illustrated the swagger. He took their title and brought it to another organization, a rival organization.
And had it on camera on national TV, like they give 2 middle fingers to Ted Turner.
Yeah. Middle finger to my former boss. I left as a champ. I'm coming to take your title too, Vince McMahon. And he did that. What? Go watch it, baby. Go watch it. Go watch it. All right, what's your next one?
Okay, my final one. My final one. This was a game changer for wrestling right here. It's King of the Ring, June 29th, 1998. June 28th, 1998. This wasn't even the main event. This wasn't even the King of the Ring tournament. It wasn't even Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kane in the first blood match. This was a steel cage Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Mankind.
Of all his matches, this is the one I respect the most.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this one right here, this was the level of violence in this match.
Oh my God.
Changed what you can do in pro wrestling. It raised the bar, especially for this promotion.
I can't even watch it now. Like, it's too barbaric.
Yeah.
It was a good match.
I mean, the falls were planned. I mean, Undertaker comes to the ring with his dead man gimmick, and he has a broken foot the entire match. And he's fighting Mick Foley, hardcore wrestler extraordinaire, in his Mankind gimmick. They're at the and mind you, the last Hell in a Cell match was at Bad Blood in December of '97 between Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, where Kane debuted.
Oh, right? Yeah.
And even that one was pretty violent, with Shawn Michaels falling off the top of the cage. Incoming! Incoming! On the Spanish announce table.
Yeah.
But this one, when Taker and Mankind were battling at the top of the cage, and Taker grabs him and just throws him off, and he flips and just lands violently, and all his machinery goes everywhere. and people standing up to see. Good God, is he dead?
That match is crazy.
Even Vince McMahon, he came down to the ring too. It's like, if McMahon's down here, this must be serious.
Yo, like, I've watched it as an adult. I can't watch it comfortably. It's very cringe. Like, either of them could have died. Like, literally. It was just one small mistake in one of those falls.
Yeah.
It could be a snapped neck, a paralysis, broken back, like.
And all the injuries that Mick Foley suffered throughout that match.
Thumbtacks in his body. Like, come on, man. It was just too barbaric. But it's a good match if you actually put it in.
Yeah, I mean, we thought the match was going to end early, right? Foley being carted out on a stretcher, and Jim Ross like, this might be the shortest Hell in a Cell match ever.
Foley came back,
and then you hear the crowd yelling, and they're like, what's going on? And Foley's on his feet smiling, and they're like, you're kidding. How in the hell is he standing?
How, dog?
And Taker was coming down with his hand still up on the cage, and he's looking like, okay, you want more? Okay, let's do this. Okay. And they get back on the top of the cage, and then the infamous part happened. He choke slams him. This was not supposed to happen. He choke slams him, but Foley goes right through the cage and lands violently on the ring, into the ring. Yeah. Like, you're kidding. Boom. Oh! And Jim Ross like, good God. Yeah. Good God. Yeah. That's it. He's dead.
Dog.
Well, somebody stop the damn match. Enough's enough.
Yo, watching that match for the first time was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you literally, your jaw would drop at some of the falls. You're like, yo, why and how?
Yeah, I was watching on we were 15, and we were watching on pay-per-view at home. And what's it called? Our friend, our aforementioned friend Alex called me talking about, did you just see that side? I'm like, yeah, I saw that. Good God.
Yeah.
And my dad, he was downstairs watching the event. He called him, Sir, did you see that crazy white man that's going on the cage?
Shout out to Big Shaq. Happy birthday, bro.
It's my father's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Big Shaq.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I saw it, and I still can't believe it.
Can't believe it, dog.
Yeah, then he gets thrown right through the cage. That was not supposed to happen. And that's where the majority of his injuries got. He had like a bruised kidney, broken ribs, dislocated shoulder, a tooth and a half knocked out, a concussion.
He had like a lacerated. Like his tongue could like stick through his bottom. It was. Yeah. They don't pay him enough for that, dog. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, and when he pile drive Taker and then fell in the corner. They're like, oh my God, he's smiling. And then in a later match, in a later like retrospect in the match, Foley says, I wasn't smiling.
His mouth was closed.
I had a hole.
Yeah,
in my bottom lip. I was sticking my tongue out through there.
Yeah, it's disgusting, man.
And people came down to the match.
They don't get paid enough for that, dog.
And Taker is carrying on with a broken foot throughout the whole match.
I heard.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And he's like battling people off. Terry Funk, Gerald Briscoe, Pat Patterson.
Yeah.
And Foley brings out some thumbtacks. And Taker manages to slam him on them and even tombstone him on them too. And they're sticking in his it's
all over his
bare skin, his bare arms.
That match is barbaric as hell, dog.
But it got a standing ovation. That was a match.
Gladiator shit.
That was not only match of the night. That was match of the year.
Yeah, I definitely respect the match. It was just it's barbaric. I wouldn't recommend it, but
I do.
I respect it. No, I wouldn't recommend anybody that does wrestling to do those.
Yeah, don't try that at home.
Like that backyard nonsense.
Yeah, because what's it called?
It was a great match. I'm not gonna lie.
Because we had a friend that he had a trampoline in his grandparents' backyard. Right, we used to try wrestling moves there. Yeah, shout out to Sean. And that's when we learned firsthand that these wrestlers, they work together in making these moves work. Yeah. You ain't actually lifting me and slamming me down into a power bomb.
Yeah.
I got to swing my legs up and work with you.
Exactly.
A hurricanrana, that's two working together.
Yeah. All them type of moves where some kind of explosion is needed. There's no way you're carrying a 200-300 pound guy and executing that to perfection. I don't care how strong you are.
Fuck no, Hogan never lifted Andre the Giant.
No.
Andre to leap up a little bit to work with Hogan.
Exactly. And even with that, I heard he tore some of his lats because there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's a good match. I was definitely out of your matches. Second one was garbage though.
Okay. You gotta give me points for Hogan losing because we both don't like that.
I'll give you points for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
For sure.
Okay.
So we'll be back on.
Lastly, we're gonna talk about. Let's talk about Cosby, as in Bill Cosby.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a 4-part documentary that came on Showtime during Black History Month, which a lot of conspiracy theorists think about because of how it debuted. It was by writer-director W. Kamau Bell and this exploration of Cosby's descent from America's dad to sexual predator. Yeah, he had interviews with comedians, journalists, Cosby sexual assault survivors. Mm-hmm. It was very candid. It was the first of its kind of conversation about the guy, mm-hmm. his careers, and his crimes. Mm-hmm. Personally, I think he did do it. Yeah, but when these allegations came out, they were beyond this. I'm not trying to sound ignorant, but they were beyond the statute of limitations. So ethically, yeah, something should have been done. But legally, what could have been done is what I had. It's the question I had at the time. Yeah. But obviously, something was done because one of the women that was within that statute, and they were able to get him in jail, but it didn't last long, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Cosby did work as a comedian at first in New York nightclubs and on tour in the 1960s. Yeah. He had the series I Spy from 1965 to 1968, where he became the first black actor to star in a dramatic role on network television. He later frequented children programs like Sesame Street and The Electric Company, and was in several films in the 1970s. Yeah. Many of which bombed, like when he was the devil in one. Yeah. I'm like, I laugh at that one. I remember that, yeah. But I will say that wasn't as bad as his 1987 film Leonard Part 6. If you want him to apologize for something, have him apologize for that. Shit was garbage. Shout out to Cosby. And let me just say this, whenever I had to stay home from school, when I was in preschool, stay home sick, for some reason, that movie, The Chipmunk Adventure, and the sci-fi movie Inner Space would always be on a marathon whenever I had to stay home sick from school back then. Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Cosby, the most notable thing that he did was The Cosby Show and Fat Albert. Yeah. Yeah, my parents, they had us watch The Cosby Show when we were growing up to see what dignified black folks on television actually look like. Yeah. Yeah. And because before that, we had 227, Good Times, Sanford and Son, which were black oriented, but depicted us in the hood. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm like, not all black people live in the hood, and The Cosby Show wanted to show that. Yeah. Yeah. And it was one of the most durable family comedies in the history of television, actually. Yes. But the numerous sexual assaults and allegations against Cosby, including him, the one he was found guilty of was 2018. When he was found guilty of drugging and sexually assaulting a Temple University employee. Oh. He got a 3 to 10 year sentence for that, but got released last year with his conviction overturned. Yeah. And this show, it's released during Black History Month. I can see why people think it's suspect, but on the other hand, it could just be one coincidence.
Yeah. To highlight how big the Cosby Show was, when it aired in the 80s, it had a third of the U.S. population watching. I don't think any other primetime sitcom or show, even in today's world where we have Big Bang Theory, it doesn't command that kind of audience on TV today. It shows you how many homes it touched at the time. But go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, what's it called? Like Cosby, he opened the door for a lot of people. Like, I mean, his success as a black man in a white-run industry like Hollywood, it speaks volumes. And he opened the door for other people. But then again, there's this attitude towards women and black America that mars that. Yeah, like how did he transition from America's dad to America's most angry granddad?
He's done a lot for the black diaspora, black community in the United States and worldwide. Actually, he's opened doors for a lot of black comics strategically. He's opened doors for blacks in Hollywood because they're very typecasted when he first started, coming out. Black man, black woman were either depicted as idiots at the time
or servile,
coons. They just didn't know what they were doing, or if it was a black woman, she was either heavily sexualized or she was the mammy, the overweight mammy, and there was no versatility for the black man in Hollywood at the time. And when he first got casted for I Spy, he started with opening doors for black stuntmen.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Believe it or not, at the time before that, they would do blackface to white men in order for white stuntmen to act as black men.
obvious.
It's so obvious when you could have just casted a black man. So he made sure he opened doors for that. He opened doors for black co-stars and things of that nature in Hollywood. Education, like he said, he tapped into the world of children.
Yeah, when he made like even his comedy album, what's it called? Bill Cosby talks about drugs. What's it called?
It won a Grammy.
Yeah, won a Grammy. Yeah. See, they can try to trick you, couldn't they? Yeah, he opened his comedy albums. They were influential as well too. A lot of black comedians, even though Cosby wasn't one that was stereotypical that talked about race or cursed on stage.
He avoided that.
He still influenced guys like Eddie Murphy, Martin, what's it called, Godfrey, who was featured on this documentary as well too. Yeah, like him being an I Spy, that was a watershed moment for black people on TV, and he wasn't stereotypical, but he wasn't making noise either. Yeah, and like you said, he fought to get black stunt performers on TV with years of white stuntmen just doing blackface.
Absolutely.
But like, what's it called? He talks about Spanish Fly on a lot of his records too.
Exactly. So like throughout, even when he was doing good things, he had hinted a lot of the things that came to bite him back in the butt during a lot of these rape allegations, and that is more or less evidence as to proving to why that he did it.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically, he thought he was telling it with impunity too. Like when he was on Larry King Live, telling in detail how he used Spanish Fly, or like even a running gag on the Cosby Show for years. Well, like during the cookout scene, he'd be like, "Class, you know why people love my barbecue sauce? Get all lovey-dovey, because I put my little formula up in there." I'm like, this dude is snitching on himself. It's like the MF Doom song, "Rap Snitch Knishes," rap snitches telling all their business, get in the court and be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here.
Pretty much. But yeah, to add to that, like, I think Cosby came up in an environment where like chauvinism and sexism was tolerated and accepted. Like a man should feel the way, like, should be able to dominate or do whatever he wants to a woman, and that is accepted. Like it's considered bravado,
like a sense of entitlement.
Exactly.
Not even almost. It is entitled.
It is like is entitled to a woman, especially if you're a man of power.
Yeah.
In that era, and it's even illustrated in movies at the time. Like even the documentary, you see scenes from different movies around the '60s, late to mid '60s, where like a lot of that is illustrated. Like taking advantage of a woman is considered, bravado, like a man's duty.
Yeah. Like you're scoring points with your boys.
Right. So a lot of times Cosby didn't see that as wrong, which is crazy, but it's his reality. That's the environment he was brought up in.
Yeah.
And that doesn't justify what he did, but it's important to understand where where this is coming from.
It explains it. It doesn't justify. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, but
and I was gonna say him having the overlay of being an educator, that was supposed to hide his proclivities, I think.
Yeah, and it's funny because Cosby's denial and condescending attitude in his latter years, even in this trial, I think is rooted from a lot of insecurity. Because based on his education track, he wasn't the brightest person in the world, man. Like he didn't really graduate from high school. He did. He ended up getting a GED in the military.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, but like he went to a lot of prestigious high schools, and
he didn't finish at Temple.
Didn't finish even high school. Like he started with 2 private, really good high schools that he never completed. Before he finally got the GED. Then he went to Temple. He didn't finish
there.
Then he went, I believe,
UMass, Amherst. I think.
UMass is where he actually got his master's for ED education, right?
Did he get the EDD though? What's it called? The educational doctorate. Was that honorary or was that actually? Did he actually earn? No, he earned that.
He earned it.
The dissertation he used for Fat Albert. Yeah.
But some people even doubt he wrote that.
Yes. Yeah, some people think what's it called? Your ED, your educational doctorate. It's like that's not even a real doctorate.
Right. So like,
I guess it's like a point of contention in the doctoral community, I guess.
Right. And we all know he made a killing and he made a lot of money, so and he gave back to the community. So shout out to him for that. He helped immensely in like HBCUs, donating money to some facilities
Even
and programs.
and even starting out on TV as an educator when he had Lost, Stolen, and Astray, the show about Black history.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go with the whitewashing of history at all.
Exactly, which is
Yeah.
huge. Which is huge.
Yeah, he focused in on what's called racial images, saying our self images are deformed because of racism,
Yeah.
and he actually goes in on racist imagery. I'm surprised that was even on TV at the time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Being a student at Temple, he also donates buckets of money to them.
Yeah.
So he was in their honorary executive board or whatever they called it. I don't
The
know.
board of
Trustees,
directors, I guess. Or
directors,
something.
yeah. Well, no longer there, but he was. And even in that, his encounters with a lot of Black people in either the faculty or even, funny enough, one of our good friends, very good friend of ours,
Yeah.
who was the SGA president of the undergrad, or this whole school, undergrad, I think. Yeah,
Mhm.
undergrad. When we were in college in the mid 2000s, he had encounters with Bill Cosby that weren't very pleasant, and he told us that Bill Cosby is basically a dickhead, and he's very impolite and condescending and rude. I'm like, nah, man, we
didn't
called his
believe
bluff.
that. We didn't believe
But
that.
then you watch this documentary and it just justifies everything he told us back in the day.
And you
I was
got
like, you're just a hater, dog. I was like, yo, not even just a hater. But when you watch the documentary, you actually see other people's accounts.
accounts and
And you're
him
like, yeah,
and
Ryan wasn't lying.
and how he acts on screen. It's like the Emmy Awards one year, Wanda Sykes,
Oh, yeah,
when
Wanda
she was hosting, and she's having fun with she's having fun with Larry David, who's right behind him. Talking about Larry show. He don't know what he's doing. Now, Bill, why don't you improv like Larry? You got a well written show. Everybody's well spoken. Yes, we speak English. And like, I don't know if I was Wanda Sykes. Wanda, much to her professionalism, kept it going. But if I was her, I wouldn't know whether to keep it going or smack the fuck out of him.
Right. And even his encounter with the Dr. Hill.
Dr. Hill, yeah, that was. And
It reminded me of Naeem.
he
Honestly.
approached Cosby respectfully, right?
Yeah.
And then Cosby, he just puts on sunglasses, turned aside, Mr. Hill.
They didn't even call him doctor, yo.
Yeah, never mind and what did Hill say? Like, never mind the fact that I'm the one with the real doctor.
Exactly. It's like,
Did I fuck with you?
He's like, nah.
Why are you fucking with me, man?
And then he goes ahead after they have that.
Are you
encounter.
tenured?
Right.
Are you tenured? That's a veiled threat.
It is a threat, exactly. So like,
So what happened after the
yeah.
encounter?
So like, then he goes and has a conversation with like the board, and says that he tried to have a conversation with Dr. Hill, and he was unable to have it. Dr. Hill was like, "What?
Hey, you weren't listening?
Defamating my character and then slandering me."
Yeah. Cosby
Yeah.
got reach like that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So.
And I will say, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I will say, he at the NAACP meeting where he went off, he had points about Black America at the time, but it's like he was making a broad generalization. Not every Black person in America is like that. You want to direct it at them? Do it. Target a certain segment.
I agree, and then that's not like the only thing. I'm not a fan of bashing our people unconstructively. Like if you're going to address our problems, which we do have. I'm not saying we're clean. We definitely have issues within our community, African Americans and Black people. But when you're approaching that, you have to be constructive. The way he approached those things, he was just more or less just bashing and just kind of insulting.
Right.
It was very condescending. So it's just kind of like, dude,
And
how about you encourage as opposed to just bash? Because if you're bashing, then you're basically insulting and not really being constructive.
and like he's any different either. I mean, he came up in the projects in North Philly.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, you made it out, no doubt, but it's like you still got a responsibility to people that come behind you.
Yeah. And like, of course, a lot of political figures that, kind of are tend to support the marginalized status quo, or should I say the image of Black people, ran with what Bill Cosby was saying in a lot of those.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. It's leverage. But I was very disappointed because I would never just come and publicly bash my people without being constructive. Like, nah, I won't even bash them. It'll be more of a constructive approach than out here insulting my people. I'm not any better. I'm one of them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I do think he had points, but he went about it the wrong way.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, to add to that, again, he regardless of that, he definitely was a huge influence. And like, go ahead.
And yeah, like what's it called? In the 70s, I mean, when he was going against the racist imagery and going against blaxploitation as well, like him and Sidney Poitier did films to counter blaxploitation.
Yeah.
And mind you, Cosby did one movie every year. None of them were successful. A lot of his shows in the 70s didn't last.
He also directed and stuff. Yeah,
he did. Yeah,
made sure he had an all black, cast and mostly black cast and co-workers and behind the scenes and stuff.
He was really trying to make it for black people in Hollywood to be successful back then.
For that, yeah.
And for many people, Bill Cosby was their first teacher. I mean, Fat Albert, that was a funny take on black life in North Philly.
Yeah.
Had laughs and fun lessons.
Yeah.
But what's it called?
Yeah.
Even in the 80s when he's doing these PSA announcements, like one for Quaaludes, right? He gave a PSA in 86 for Quaaludes, and it starts off with, if you're ever unconscious. And then has the benefits of drugs as a statement in there too. Yeah, a lot of his stuff that he did back then, even the aforementioned barbecue gag in the Cosby Show, all those are viewed in a different context now.
Yeah, and then to add to that, representation is so underlooked or overlooked, should I say? Because things like Fat Albert really connected to the black community, kids that were from the hood or lesser privileged, or they could relate to a lot of those characters. And even with the Cosby Show was the first sitcom that I was very conscious of. Like you said, a lot of the ones before were around. My parents watched it, but the Cosby Show was something I related to because I'm from a middle class family. I had siblings just like they were representing on the show that I grew up in the household, very similar with educated parents that had jobs and encourage us to be educated and take our school and life seriously. So I connected to the Cosby Show. So a lot of black people also saw that representation as we are also here. We can also be successful. And
of course, it has some detractors in the black community too.
Right.
But it's like those people. It's like they think black people are a monolithic group. We're not.
Exactly, we're not. And even the spinoff, The Different World, was genius because it actually not only encouraged, but it also showed the light that yes, black people do go to college too, and we have college interactions, social college interactions, as well as academic interactions. And for those that weren't in school or that stereotype of blacks can't go to college, when they saw that show, it was an encouragement to say, oh wow, I can definitely go to college. College is like that. College is dope. I want
to go to college.
Yeah, exactly. So he did some genius stuff. Let's not get it twisted. I definitely give him his roses where they are.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, the Cosby Show was revolutionary for TV. I mean, it was a watershed moment. All black cast on TV.
Yeah.
And the year in which it debuted, 1984, that was a key year for black celebrities. I mean, they were a worldwide phenomenon at that point.
Yeah.
And the media portrayed Black America as apocalyptic. Like if they look at the South Bronx, and it had it eroded. They show the areas that eroded from the civil rights movement, but it's not the Cosby Show. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
But there were so many telling things about it.
Even in the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feel good.
Even in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Why did he choose to make his special? He was a doctor on the show.
Yeah.
Why did he choose his specialty as OBGYN and operate out of his basement?
You know the funny thing?
What's that?
That was the first time I ever found out what an OBGYN was, what gynecologist was. I didn't know. As a kid, I learned about gynecology through him. Through Cosby, of course.
Of course, yeah.
That's my first time I had. That's actually a funny guy. That's actually how I knew they had doctors for that whole area, and so it was interesting but like you said, it's strategic, and that's in his basement.
and he was known as to be a control freak with women on the set too.
Yeah, he had
Lisa Bonet.
Oh, you did, huh?
Yeah, what's it called? He didn't want her to do Angel Fire or Angel Heart, the joint where she was nude with Mickey Rourke.
He didn't
want her to do that.
Yeah, I see.
And I think he kicked her off the Cosby Show because of that.
I see. But even ironically, in the audience, he used to have rows of models that he used to have, brought to the set. And he would after the show, he'd bring them in to his office or whatever. Like
the sheriff in Nottingham, 10:30,
exactly.
10:45.
He closed the door, and nothing was known what happened after that. So I'll let you tell it. But yeah. As far as the allegations, man,
It was Hannibal Buress. His joke let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah. He was joking too, but
he was joking. Yeah, but people started when he told people to Google that. They actually did it when they left the show.
Yeah, exactly. And then it started to pick up weight, and then women started. Here's the thing, though, like, and it's something that it still plagues America to today. When women come out, especially with men of power, when women come out to, report that they've been raped or had any sexual assault, it's always looked over or like swept under the rug or just kind of the blind eyes turned to it, because a lot of these women, even at the present time he was doing this, some came out and nobody would like take him seriously because of course it's Bill Cosby.
Yeah, he can do no wrong.
Yeah. So I hope, even though I have my doubts, I hope this opens the eyes to America, like especially with black women, because black women a lot of times people don't ever take their word seriously, and like watching this show, like seeing how heavy some of this hit some of these women, especially the women of color, it definitely hit home a little bit, and like just being one that has been raised at a home predominantly of black women. I have sisters. I now have friends and family that have daughters. I just thinking about like if they were in that situation, if God forbid, of course, someone would happen to rape them or molest or abuse them, and they would have come forward and nobody would listen or take their word for it. How terrible that would be.
Yeah, we tend to take it more seriously when it hits at home.
Exactly. And I understand, like I to some extent I understand the denial, especially for black men, because Cosby is one of the only bright lights a lot of us saw as child, like as a young men or kids. A lot of times black men weren't shown on TV in a positive light. So right. With him, breaking grounds for a lot of black people and people of color in general, and holding that positive light, it's kind of hard to like see your hero or somebody of that nature in a negative light. But I mean, at the same time, he's human, so that doesn't excuse his acts. For me, my only thing is he still till today hasn't shown any remorse, and for me as a man, I can't respect him for that. I just can't respect him for that. I acknowledge and appreciate everything he's done for black people or people of color or just in general. But for me, like, I'm one to give people second chances. I'm not one to judge. So like, if he shows remorse, I'd be a lot more comfortable with. Actually, I won't be more comfortable with it. That's not the right choice of words. Not the right choice of words. But I'd be willing to be like, okay, this man fucked up. It was a product of his environment.
You'd be willing to give him a chance if he acted more remorseful.
Yeah, but he's still on his high horse and denying, and the entitlement is still there, and I can't respect him for that. I'll be honest with you.
How did Camille stay married to him all these years?
That's another thing. That's another thing. But yeah, teach his own, man. I don't know.
I live in Massachusetts with my wife Camille.
I don't know if he treated her like shit, but he was definitely like,
She knows.
Yeah, she knows. Everybody knew.
Yeah.
Even the people that were interviewing in the show, like, yeah, they knew he was unfaithful or whatever. But they gave him a pass or whatever. She did too. I mean, sometimes it's for the sake of the family. If you have kids, it's just sometimes it's hard.
For the sake of the business too.
Yeah, and the business too. So.
Oh, interesting poster for the Cosby Show. You know the date that it ended?
What?
April 30th, 1992. The date of the Rodney King riots.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. I didn't know that. Actually, they did say that. It didn't click though.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't click. But yeah, it's unfortunate, man. It really is.
But it also shines a light on to the guys like Harvey Weinstein, Trump, Charlie Rose, or Al Franken, really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they have varying degrees of what constitutes rape culture or sexual assault with them. Yeah. With Al Franken, he stepped down from Congress after a photo of him surfaced of him gesturing, grabbing a woman's boobs, even though he didn't actually grab them. Yeah. But I guess political pressure and ethics forced him to step down.
Yeah.
And Matt Damon, when he said there's a difference to certain levels of sexual assault, and people bashed him for that, I'm like, you got a point, but at the same time, because of the firestorm, people should just keep their mouth shut at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, they got valid points, but it's like the firestorm is that you use a certain word.
Yeah, it's a serious thing, man.
It is a serious thing,
so
and and is there a way to have an actual conversation about it?
Absolutely. Like, we need to be more mindful and open doors for this. And then when people come forth, they should be, they should be afforded that ear and investigation and attention, because
it should be taken seriously.
It should be taken seriously, and equally at the same time, some people also use it to take advantage of situations, and they should be punished equally, because this is not something to be played with. It ruins the platform for people that have actually really been molested and abused and raped. So it's a serious thing. So
for them who's been raped and the person who's been accused too. Yeah, now the person who's been accused, an accusation is just as good as a conviction, even if you're acquitted.
Exactly. So at the same time, if you're hearing lying, it fucks up the whole
dynamic. Yeah. Like you said, the next person that comes forth with a sexual accusation, who are they going to? Are they going to believe you?
Yeah.
Or to what extent are they going to believe you?
It ruins the whole magnitude of what this really is. So that's why I think if someone is falsely accused of rape and has been proven that it's a lie or whatever, that person that accused them should be punished, just like someone who were to have raped her should be punished equally. Yeah. Because it's not something you play around with at all.
Right, it's people's lives. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's why I personally get upset when I see people being released from jail after DNA evidence proves that they didn't rape a person.
Yeah, it's exactly. There you go. Exactly.
They can't get back them years no more.
No.
And the person that accused them, they may be remorseful, they may have been mistaken, but that doesn't change anything for the person that was accused.
Yeah, man. So anything you want to add on to Bill? Did we miss anything? We might have.
I'm looking right now to see if we missed anything.
I think I had.
I'm looking to see what else
I also think it was interesting, like, that when he used to do this, he strategically picked some of the places where he did his shows. Like, he picked Vegas because Vegas.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah, it promotes a lot of
Sin City, yeah.
So culture, like that culture. So like, it opens the doors for him to get away with stuff like that. So I think he was kind of wise to do it that way. I think he picked it strategically, and also like his entitlement is actually painted a lot. He felt ever since he made it, he's felt entitled. Even when like ladies would refuse to, even some of the models that came in there when he didn't do them the favor that he wanted, he'd just like try to shit on them or degrade them or make them feel this little.
And all men have felt that way at some point. Really, it's not a frustration. It's just that some of us, we can actually just like pull ourselves back.
It's true.
Like, we're not entitled.
It's ego. It's ego.
It's ego. Yeah. It's ego. I've been there before too. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
But it's like, I have a friends or me or myself pull myself back. It's like, don't even sweat it. You're not entitled. She has the right to say no.
Right. And at the same time, it would definitely bruise your ego at the time. But like, thereafter, you don't try to belittle the person, dog.
Or drug them to make up for your lack of game.
Yeah, for that matter. Yeah. Some of them ladies too, I was just like, yo, he just offered you a drink with something added to it, and he told you, and you still drank the shit. I know you trusted him, but
still, think about it. Yeah, and given his reputation, what you've heard about him.
Yeah, the ones that there were a lot of them that didn't know he had put something in the drink, but there's some of them that he actually told them, and they still drank because somehow, some way, they trusted Bill Cosby because they've known him for
forever.
A night.
A night, yeah. It's like going to a Tracy Morgan show and like what's it called?
Stupid.
Knowing what he's about and still getting offended at the end.
Right.
Like, you're a dumb motherfucker then.
Right. But yeah, I'm very disappointed, man, because there's no coming back from that, though.
Nah, there isn't.
And especially now that he's still not remorseful.
No, he's out. That's all he cares about, though.
Yeah, but he definitely did a lot for black folks in Hollywood, entertainment, education. So definitely appreciate him for that.
I give him his just dues, yeah. But you can't deny what he's done after the fact.
As a man, I can't respect him. That's just me. So, but yeah, man. Anything else?
Nothing else. Nothing else. I think we can wrap this up. Two things first. We got another podcast coming out.
Yeah.
The Victory Formation Lounge
podcast.
Let me explain. It's his brainchild.
Yeah, so it's me, Sai, and a couple of our other brothers. It's sports oriented, focuses on the NFL. So we discuss week to week. But we will launch next week a discussion about the offseason free agency. There's 6 of us. And it's inspired by a YouTube platform for the Premier League called the Big Six. So shout out to Turkish LDN. He's the brain behind that. So he inspired me to do this, but focus on the NFL as opposed to the Premier League. So I ain't infringing on you too much, Turkish, but shout out to you and the boys. It's dope. So y'all tune in. We're definitely going to release something next week regarding the free agency of the NFL. A lot of banter, laughs, but then a lot of football, discussion. So if you're interested in the NFL and all that drama behind it, definitely tune in. We'll have the link below, and also the link below for the donations for
the wider circle for Friendly Gardens.
Absolutely, we appreciate anything you can give. Love and respect. Stay blessed, everyone.
Yeah. Also, another thing I want to shout out: Family Matters. This gear right here.
Fred.
For our friend Freddie Davis. It's his clothing line that he runs. Yeah. Family Matters LLC. Look them up. Big Cartel. Yeah, they got plenty of gear. Hats, hoodies, sweatsuits.
Absolutely. Dope clothes.
Yeah.
Dope clothes. Definitely something to celebrate the family and also Black history and things of that nature. It's dope gear. I have tons of it at home. I'll be wearing them from time to time here as well. I'm wearing Adidas, Nike, and then also, Weirdo, because I'm a weirdo.
You both are.
From Be Different clothing brand. We'll post a link if you like some of their stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And you got anything else?
No, man.
And on that note, Christmas is canceled, motherfuckers.
Haha, shout out to Tommy, dog. Shout out to Tommy.